Okay, so basically, any story you want to tell in any brand campaign, there are two things you need to understand. First, the authenticity or originality of the story you are trying to tell. And then the second thing is that how does it connect with people? Because at the end of the day, everything you are doing must connect with people because you're selling brands, you're selling a brand or a product or a service to people. So outside of people, you're not communicating effectively. So everything you are doing, you have to be telling a story to people. But in that story that you are telling, how is it inspiring social impact? How is it inspiring action? Is it evoking emotion? What is it infusing some cultural relevance and is it fostering engagement? Because if you've done a campaign and there's no engagement, you've actually missed it. So the question you want to ask yourself is, what does your brand mean and why does it matter? The product that you're selling, why does it matter to the audience? Is this something that is relatable to them? Is this something that they need? Without that, will they be able to survive? Alright? One of the things I tell people is, especially for when I was in GT, we started creating a lot of things like GT Create, 737, and then we moved to fashion, and we moved to food and drink. It was very simple. We want everyone to be connected with GT Bank one way or the other. We tap things from cradle to grave, meaning from childhood, when you have your SKS account, to when you are a teenager, to when you start working, to when you own your business, till you, God forbid, eventually die. Alright. So basically, GT Bank is following you through a journey all through your life cycle. Okay? And the thing about telling a good story is that you need to find a way to humanize the brand. Because most times, most brands are disconnected from the people that they are selling their products or services to. How do you humanize the brand? How do you connect with people? How do you stay relevant? Because at the end of the day, I said it, you need to know that whatever you are selling is to people. So you need to understand the people that you are selling to. Secondly, how do you leverage on all the elements around you? The cultural elements, your community, the things that mean a lot to them. So you are speaking to the soul of the people around you. Okay? And then you need to also align your brand with whatever story you are telling. A lot of people tell stories, but they don't align their brand identity and their brand purpose to the stories that they are telling. So it's so disconnected. So you see, and that's why sometimes when people use influencers, you need to be careful the type of influencers that you use. Because you don't want the influencer that is disconnected from your brand. You don't want to be communicating a message, but your story is completely different. Okay? Now you also need to look at the emotional connection. What do people feel about the story that you are telling? Is there a connection? What's their mood after listening to your story, or after listening to that your brand campaign, or after listening to that influencer doing a post on your page? Okay? Because it's not just what you sell. It's about what you stand for. Because it's easy for you to sell anything, or say you are selling anything, but what do you stand for? What's your value proposition? So it's important that you understand what's my value proposition. As a brand, what do I want to stand for? A lot of people open companies or organizations, but they don't even understand what they stand for. Okay? And you also need to understand that how do people connect with the purpose behind your product? Or how do people connect with the purpose before your product? Alright? Because the product is one element, is like, in my own estimate, like 20% of the real message. The purpose behind the product is what is important. You see, you know what Indomie noodles they do? What they do, they are not selling Indomie noodles. They are selling connectivity with children. They are selling joy for children. They are selling happiness for children. So what you need to be talking about is not the product, but what's that value? What's it connected to people? What's the purpose behind what you are doing? Because your brand also, that I said before, your brand needs to connect with its environment. If you look at Nigeria, the environment in Nigeria is different from the environment in the UK. So what you are selling in Nigeria, your communication style should be different from what you are selling outside of Nigeria. Even what you sell in Lagos sometimes is different from what you sell in the north. In the north, they are very particular about their culture. So if you go to the north and you don't speak their language, you are not dressing like them. There is a high possibility that you're not going to be engaging with them. Alright, so let me talk about GT Bank, and I'll go to Eco Bank, and then I'll go to Bank of Industry where I currently work, and then we'll go to the panel session. For GT Bank, one of the things that we did was we're like, how do we transform this bank? A couple of myself and a few of my colleagues were like, okay, you know what? There was a product called SME Hub. That product, SME Hub, was meant to promote SMEs on, on the online commercial space. But after doing a lot of work, we're like, you know what? This thing is not connecting with people. How do we ensure that because there was junior, there was stronger, there were all sorts of people in that space, all right? And it was very difficult for marketers to succeed. We did everything we could, but as a bank, we just couldn't connect with the SMEs. So we said, you know what? How do we create a platform that, yes, there's the online site, but there is the real activation where we are really connecting with these people. Now, remember, we are a bank, so we have the customers, okay? Secondly, we looked at our environment. What do we have as a platform? We had a space just right next door. I said, you know what? Let's start up with an exhibition, a free exhibition. And that's how Food and Drink came about. All right? And Food and Drink now has taken a life of its own. People are looking forward to it. The same thing for fashion. We also looked at it. How do we connect to people beyond coming to the bank? How do we talk about banking that is cool to the Gen Zs, to the millennials? So we started something called Indani TV. And what does Indani TV, what's Indani TV standing for? Indani TV is just a platform where you're almost not thinking about GT Bank at all. It's almost like you are removed from GT Bank completely. And you're talking about skinny girl in transit. You're talking about all sorts of programs on Indani. And then obviously other banks now did Red TV, Accelerate, and the rest of the things. Now those things connect you to organizations beyond the brick and mortar. Okay? And what the thing that stood out for a lot of us when we were in GT Bank was this. We became a youth-friendly, youth-forward organization. We started to drive the culture. And so, if you look at most people, and I stand to be corrected, 7 out of every 10 has a GT Bank account. Either from your GT rates, from the fact that you watch Indani TV, or from the fact that you come for food and drink, or you come for fashion, or any of those things. Because what did we do? We define relevance beyond banking. Also, I hope I've not gone. Okay, yeah. So, what brands must learn? They must learn that it's not just what you said, it's what you stand for. People can not think about this. This. Okay. So, EcoBank. I joined EcoBank about 3.5 years ago, or 4 years ago. And when I go to EcoBank, the first thing they were asking me, every time they hear Pan-African Bank, the Pan-African Bank, first question, what does it mean to the everyday customer? Yeah, you are Pan-African. What is the relevance of that? How is that important to me? Would it help me when I come to do business with you? And the answer was no. And that was why, for a long time before I joined EcoBank, it was almost a non-existent brand. It just looked like, yeah, they do African transactions, and that's it. So I sat down with my team and I said, you know what, guys, what is the essence of being a Pan-African institution? How do we begin to tell stories about Nigeria, about Africa, in an authentic way, in a way that it means something to people? So we started looking at what are the different platforms and channels that we can use to tell the Pan-African story, a Pan-Nigerian story. And the red is authentic to us, and the red is original to us, and the red is our own thing. You know, people can say Ankara is not our own, and the red belongs to us, and the red is in the north, and the red is in the east, and the red is in the south. So we say, you know what? Why don't you create something around Adire? Something that when people hear about it, see it, they connect easily with it. So for us, we started saying, you know what? Let us make a platform for Adire, not fashion, not a generic thing, but something that when you think about it is original. It connects to culture, it connects to tradition, it connects to our authenticity. And that's how we came about that. But beyond that, we started thinking, you know what, how do we start to talk to Nigerian creatives, African creatives, so that they begin to connect with the essence of being a Pan-African, to the essence of being a Pan-Nigerian, to the essence of promoting the Nigerian brand. And that's how we came up with plus 2, 3, 4 art, and we came up with pay, photography, art, and design exhibition. Now, those things that we did a lot of like nice visuals, content. We said Adire is beyond, Adire is more than a fabric. Adire is a lifestyle. So when you come for a Nigeria exhibition, you are not thinking about the fabric you are coming to buy. You are coming to think about how you are connecting with other people that want to think and feel African. Okay? Now, working in bank of industry, what do we do? When people ask me that, do you enjoy working in bank of industry more than you enjoy working in GT bank that feels cool and eco bank? The answer is a big yes, and I'll tell you why. No disrespect to my former employees, employers, but I'll tell you why. You see, when you think about a lot of brands, they are thinking about themselves against another competitor. So when you think about GT Bank, it's competing against Access Bank, it's competing against Zenith Bank because they are trying to position their brand. Now, when you think about a bank of industry that is a national bank, they're not competing against anybody. Do you understand? What are they doing? They are trying to think about the Nigerian community as a whole, the Nigerian business as a whole. So we're thinking about SMEs, we're thinking about the people in the south, we're thinking about the people in the north, we're thinking about people in the east, we're thinking about the people that go to international investors. And the whole essence of that is how do we create positive stories about Nigeria? How do we promote and sell brands that are doing well in Nigeria? How do we support those brands? How do we ensure that we are empowering Nigerians to build Nigeria? How are we ensuring that we are building the national pride? And so if you watch some of our series on TV, BOI Impact, is about celebrating the small wins of everyday Nigeria, the small wins of small businesses, the small wins of people that are in their little corner doing stuff that a lot of us do not have the opportunity to even know or hear about. It's about aligning with developmental mandates. And so in a nutshell, as I round up, when I want to create brand campaigns, some of the things that I look out for, all right? First of all, I choose stories that inspire belief in Nigeria and Nigerians and show transformation. If you look at a lot of these things, whether it's the SPO, whether it's the food and drink, fashion, Nigeria, elevate, whatever we're doing, how do we demonstrate impact, not just output? A lot of people think profit, but you need to go beyond thinking profit to thinking impact. Because when you go from an impact perspective, you realize that your storytelling becomes more relevant. Do you understand? Now we measure dialogue, we don't measure reach. Now that's why a lot of businesses fail, because you see that a lot of people are thinking, how many people have I reached? You get 1,000 likes, but you get 5 engagements. You get 200 likes or 200,000 likes, but you get 10 conversions. So you're thinking about the dialogue. If you look at one of the ways I measure the success of my campaign is what is the talkability? What is the extent of its reach? Are people still engaging? Are people still talking about it? Are people still getting converted? Are people looking forward to the next campaign? All right? So tell stories that people feel they can share and see themselves in. If your brand disappears tomorrow, all right, would anyone care? I'll give you an example of a brand. And I mean, it's not like they've completely disappeared. But back in the days, they were very popular. How many people remember cowbell? Cowbell, our milk. You know, when cowbell entered into that space, they redefined what that dairy product sale usage was. Everybody was selling in cans, in big things, and all that stuff. But they came in the sachet. And guess what? The mechanic could easily buy because they didn't need a big carton or a big thing of milk. The everyday shop could sell. They transformed that space and everybody started doing sachet milk. Okay? Now, storytelling isn't soft, it is strategic. Some people want to feel like when you're talking about a story, it has to be soft, it has to be sweet. Sometimes some stories are hard. But guess what? It's strategic. Some things you are talking about what's happening in the society. Some things you are talking about what people need. Some things you are talking about what people lack. The idea is what's the strategy behind your storytelling. Alright? It's not supposed to be sweet. It must connect with people. It must sell your brand. It must make people feel a certain way. Okay? Stories scale trust. they shift culture, and they spark advocacy. Alright, now you see a lot of people trying to do different exhibitions and different conferences around their brand. Why? Because some people have done it, it's been successful, they've seen the model, and now people are trying to recreate it. Open State has recreated itself just because one person saw an opportunity, went, did a video around Odudioba, and guess what? Abeokuta too did something recently. Other people in Akwa Ibom, they are doing something. Because now they're talking about the story of Nigeria, the cultural essence within Nigeria. The right narrative can change a nation and a market. When you tell a good story, it can change your brand completely. So let's